You have questions, we have answers. This is Jane Miller.
And this is Ken Miller. Welcome to our show, all about real estate with Ken and Jane. Today, Jane, we are going to talk about a very important topic, that of psychology. Psychology influences everything in life, and real estate is no exception to that.
It's not only no exception, it's like a 51% is psychology.
Right.
A lot of time my clients joke, say, Jane, I mean, are you sure you're not the social worker?
Right.
So it's a lot of time you're really there helping your client go through emotional. I mean, Ken, for you maybe less because you're doing commercial. Commercial is mainly
more the numbers,
more
right.
numbers game. But for residential, right, I would say in any transaction I've involved with, I think 51 or more percentage is on emotion, to managing emotion. You know, that's work for everyone involved, the seller, the buyer, the both agent, the attorneys. It's really the emotion. It's very important.
Yeah, it's like a roller coaster. There's a lot of ups and downs, and buyers buy with their hearts as much as their heads. I mean, they fall in love with the house, and then there's certain aspects that they like and dislike.
So that's seller.
I mean, but it also depends on the personality. The emotions are to a certain degree. Different people are. Some people are more analytical, and you can go back to people who will make you. You've dealt with all the whole spectrum of buyers. People that do a whole spreadsheet table of everything they like about the distance to work, distance to school, the school ratings. They can do a whole Excel spreadsheet. Then you have other buyers that when they see it, it just feels right, and they just know it's their home. So
I tell you, Ken, it's so funny, right? My own brother, right? It's like when he was younger, and obviously in China at that time, parents and families still try to matchmaker you, right? It's not like now young people meet people in the school and on the street, in the Starbucks, and start a conversation. That time, it's like a family play a big role in the matchmaking. So when my brother was that age, and we asked him what kind of the bride you have in mind, he gave such detailed, and he even close to where she has to live.
Wow.
The area. And
I'm not sure why that would matter so much.
No, because he doesn't want to travel. Because that time you're riding bicycle, Ken.
Yeah.
You have to meet somebody. If you're a gentleman, you have to take her home and, ride bicycle. And then after that, you have to ride back to your house.
Right.
So that's why I think he want to make sure. And the qualification and how high, the weight, the cooking. And once I know his requirement, I look at him. I said, Michael, I mean, if the girl has all these, why did they you?
That's a good, you got to look at the flip side, right?
That was really funny. But at the end, he met my sister-in-law now. I think only one thing what she had on the list,
right?
Please, she doesn't cook. She never cooks.
Right. Well, that's
the only thing she had was the education. So that's the only thing she met on whatever his thing was education. Everything else. So I just always joke with him. I said, Michael, what happened? What happened?
And you probably met with buyers you work with buyers that probably initially they started out the search and they said they want X, Y, and Z, but then at the end of the day, the home they bought had A, B, and C, and they weren't necessarily correlating with X, Y, and Z. So it all depends, right?
I tell you, Ken, that's another story. But our dear friend, right, and remember Amy and Tony, right? Sean's parents.
Oh, okay.
Our dear friend. When I met them, Sean was only a little baby that time. So they're looking for a single family. The only requirement, remember, Ken, only requirement Amy gave to me is no bi-level. She said, I do not like bi-level.
Right.
There's a good reason for it. When you open the door, you have to go up, you have to go down. I don't like it.
Yeah,
I don't like bi-level.
Preference, right?
I want one. I don't want a bi-level. Anything I would be okay, but bi-level, okay? Here we go. We saw so many houses. One day she called me. She said, Jane, I saw a beautiful house just on the market. Can we see it? I said, Amy, that's a bi-level. What's wrong with you? That's a bi-level. So she said, oh, okay. And then that time it's not easy to sell a house. I'm talking about 2011, 2012, that time. And later she said, I really want to see it. Even this bi-level, I know I don't want it, but I said, sure, for comparison. So we made an appointment for one evening. She can finish work, earlier. And just before we go, the appointment got canceled because they accept offer in the attorney review. So as part of that, the seller agreed no longer showing the house. So our appointment got canceled just about half an hour before we got there. She's already in the bus from New York, come back to East Brunswick. So, and then when we got a cancellation, she was super disappointed because she didn't see the house. The house is under attorney review. Fast forward, and then went under contract, blah, 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 blah. One day, I saw the house went back to the market. So I thought, ooh, that's strange. So immediately, I called a seller agent. I said, is the house have a home inspection problem? Because you under contract, out of contract in 2 weeks, just enough time to do a home inspection. He said, no, they didn't do a home inspection. I said, don't lie to me, my friend. Don't lie to me. Of course, they have a reason. Otherwise, on what base you cancel? He said, buyer had a pre-approval, but later on, we found out he's not qualified for the mortgage, so that's why we canceled. They even didn't do the home inspection. Obviously, I didn't believe him. So I called up the buyer agent, say, hey, I saw your house fell through. What happened to the buyer? Is that a home inspection? He said, no, Jane, we didn't go that far. And they gave me the whole, just unfortunate situation, but he doesn't want to say too much about his client. But he said, it's nobody's fault. That's just, at the end, couldn't get a mortgage.
Right. Okay.
After I confirmed that, I called Amy and said, hey, your house back on the market just remember, it's a bi-level, okay? And she said, okay, I'm coming today. I don't want to lose it again. I said, okay. So I made an appointment. She came back from the bus station. I have to pick her up, straight to the house. When they open the door, personally, it's a nice house, but not something like I have to have. Open the door, she saw the house. She said, I want to buy this house. And
so she put in the back burner the fact that it's a bi-level, but it's a nice bi-level, right? It doesn't.
It's nice, but Ken, it still is. It's only one requirement. It's a bi-level, but she wanted to put an offer in. But by the time her husband came home, it was very late at night. He said he trusts his wife. He stand by his wife's decision. He trusts her judgment. So we put offer in. Obviously, they got accepted immediately. So we got to see the house during the weekend after we actually under contract.
Right.
So until now, they still live in the same house. We visit them a lot of time.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful home. And you never know. She was like a beginning, 100%, no bone about it. I don't want to buy level. And then she bought a bi-level. She loved the bi-level.
So people can change, right? So every house is unique and may have a certain. There's other overriding factors. It's the fact it's on a cul-de-sac. It's in good condition. Has the hardwood floors. It's bright. The sun. So a lot of different things.
And
so
they changed the layout. They opened up the kitchen.
Right. It's an open.
And they had the center island, so it's not a traditional bi-level. So that's all part of it. It's
right. So you have to take the whole package. Even colonial. Sometimes you have a colonial that's like a split type colonial. There's all hybrid types out there. So you never want to exclude anything. So the moral of the story is be open-minded to some degree and look at all those factors together and then help to make your decision. At least see it. And at least see them because there's nothing you can describe the house, but there's nothing like firsthand being in the house.
You have to see the house.
Being yourself in the house. And
once we had a deal, right? The buyer really wanted to make an offer. And the final walkthrough, I was there. And the buyer wife came, different car, because he got here earlier. And the wife came in a different car later. She was heavily pregnant. Yeah. And she came in, she said, is that a house we bought? I don't like it. At that moment, my heart sank because I look at the buyer agent. I said, you didn't show your client the house? He said, no. I showed him. He did a FaceTime with her because she was heavily pregnant. And they don't want her to travel that much. And they live out of state, live in Pennsylvania. So they showed, once again, we had a floor plan, Ken.
Right.
And we had the
video. Probably.
And they did a FaceTime. And she thought the layout is different from the house itself. But unfortunate, the closing table. So they bought it, but thank God they bought it. That was the beginning of the COVID. If they didn't buy that house, I don't know even they can afford one because that was their budget. After that, the market went crazy. So that would be, But in hand sense, it's good they bought it.
Yeah.
But she was shocked when she came that day because what she imagined and is totally different floor plan. Even though she had a floor plan in front of her face, they did video and FaceTime, but it's nothing. it's different when you're actually in it.
Right.
Yeah.
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 So I guess you want to highly recommend that buyers,
You have to
all
see
buyers
the
have
house.
to see the house
Yeah.
if at all possible, because
I didn't know she didn't see the house because
that-
remember sometimes people say I come from California or whatever. I want to buy a house or even I want to rent a house. Can I just do it? I normally say no. Once we had a couple from California want to buy a house. We demanded their relative or their friend, somebody has to come.
Right.
Not the agent just show on the camera.
No,
It has to be at the end. They send a relative from New Jersey somewhere that came to see the house, and then after they bought it, they said that's actually better than they thought. So which is I'm
a
happy.
better
Which, yeah, they
experience.
flew in for the closing. I was nervous that day when they do the final walkthrough.
Yeah, that's
I didn't
why
know
there's
what to
nothing. There's
expect.
no substitute for seeing the house. Sometimes the pictures look better than in the actual, or sometimes the pictures can look worse depending on the presentation,
Yes.
right? Sometimes, so there you have to go in, experience the house, walk the rooms, appreciate the view,
Feel it,
it, and see.
Yeah.
So let's talk about why buyers buy. That's the first thing. Well, normally buyers buy. They don't just wake up in the morning and say, "Gee, I want to buy a house." There's usually some underlying reason. It could be upsizing, downsizing, relocation due to job, to school, to find a school.
Ken, right?
There's usually
can I say something?
There's usually a feeling of being settled, right?
I agree with you, but I also there's exceptions, right? One day, I got a phone call, and the client said, "Can you come to our house? I want to sell my house." So that was through referral. So went to their house. I said, "Oh, okay. What motivate you?" I mean, he said, "We'll do it now." I said, "What motivate you?" He said, "Oh, last weekend it was like a Memorial Weekend or something." He said, "Last weekend we went to a party in a friend's house, and then while all the guys cooking, make the barbecue, the lady finished already, set up table, everything, got nothing to do. So they went to walk around and saw open house. They went in. They like it. They told the guys after the eating, they went back. They love it. So all the friends told them, move.
Yeah.
So they did.
So yeah, that's another. I guess another factor would be people get bored, they get restless, or they just want to they want to change for the sake of having a change, and they're in that position where they can do it.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk more about this. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after these messages. Okay, welcome back. So we're talking about why buyers decide to buy a house. So we've covered a lot of the basics, and there are the exceptional buyers out there that just buy for the sake of buying because they want to change their lifestyle.
Hey, Ken, let me tell you another story.
Right,
I have so many stories. You'll be here till tonight.
Go ahead.
And there's another client on the way to shopping. So they saw there was a sign says new construction. Once again, before that, they didn't even had a conversation or anything. They just said new construction. They really got nothing to do. So the couple just went to follow the sign, went to the builder's new construction. They went in. The lady was very nice, super friendly, and they talked them into it. So nice thing you know, they bought it. On the way back from the shopping and the house and the food, they call me. They say, "Jane, you have time? Do you want to come to my house tonight or now?" I said, "Now? Why? What happened?" I thought, that's odd. They were my old clients, but I haven't seen him for 4, 5 years, 6, 7 years. I said, "What's happening?" They said, "You come, I'll tell you. We went to food shopping." I thought, "Oh, okay." So went there. They said not only food shopping, they bought a house.
Oh,
55 plus.
Yeah, that happens too, right?
Yeah.
So, but for the majority of the people, they fall into the reason of needing to buy for those reasons we discussed, and there's a feeling of security, right? They want to be.
Yeah.
Then there's also the fear. For the renters out there and the people that are in the market of never owning a home, the fear of missing out. Like, if I don't buy now, the market's going up, the interest rates are going to go up, and the feeling of somewhat of necessity, right? That's always,
that's both ways.
That goes both ways though too, because they're feeling, well, maybe I don't want to buy now. The timing may not be right because the interest rates are going to go down. The prices we've been going up so many years, and there's going to be a correction. So should I wait? Right? There's always the fear of that. Yeah. And then there's this. So it's a double-edged sword, right?
And then sometimes I had one family I helped. I'm not kidding you. I showed them more than 100 houses.
Right.
And
I remember.
Even the mother-in-law joke said that your agent hasn't get rid of you yet, right? Yeah. We saw over 100 houses because 3 generations they've been renting apartment in New York. So they get married, want to start a family in New Jersey, but 3 generations always living in the apartment. So buying a house, own something, that's like overwhelming. And if anything goes wrong, if I lose my job, it was like so much things went through their head.
But you're lucky you never worked with my dad, even though he didn't have to. He didn't have to move, but he would have driven you for 3 years before he was in the analytical and said, "Well, this house is good." And then a few times he changed his mind. They signed the contract. So he would have driven you. You might have thought twice about becoming a realtor. If all the clients were like him, he would have been like, "Forget it."
Actually, that's not fair.
Yeah,
obviously, I got my license after we married many years. So, he didn't discourage me.
Yeah.
I just don't take him as a client.
Right. You don't want to take him as a client, exactly. Right.
That's all. I went a few times house hunting with him for us. Oh my God!
Yeah,
it's like as his daughter-in-law,
he gave you
I feel tired.
Good exercise, a good experience for the real life, what you can expect from the toughest clients.
That's right. That's right. It's funny.
But also, getting back now, the pressure to buy, that can sometimes be what causes the bidding wars, right? Because if so many buyers are in that boat where they feel that the pricing is going to continue to go up and the interest rates are going to go up. They figure they want that house regardless if they pay $10,000, $20,000 more. But there's other buyers that feel that's happened
last
viewpoint.
4 or 5 years.
So that's what happened. That was expressed during COVID at the high point because everybody felt the need for security, the need for isolation, having their own single family house. With the opportunity to put their own swimming pool in because they had to feel like the home had to become the center of their 24/7 livelihood. So they wanted that. They wanted that for safety, security, that whole bit.
But now, Ken, after 5 years on the high, now the other side I see recently, a lot of buyer bid on a house, they got it, and they changed their mind. And they want to cancel.
Right. And I think that's a psychological factor, too. Sometimes you want something so badly, if you know that there's 10 other people interested, you bid it, you want it, but then when you win, then the winning buyer may think, gee, I must have overpaid because
it's not worth
it. Maybe I paid too much now because I'm in first place. But
it's one part of what you're saying, Ken. Another part is not even overpaid. I think just like kids, right? Our daughter is only one, so can you imagine you have 2 kids, you don't have one iPad, right?
Yeah.
The kids want to play outside. The kids lose interest very shortly. But even only one kid, you give iPad. iPad is a bad example. If you give a toy, you give a book to read, and you may not want to do it, right? But you have 2 kids, you have one truck, and then they will fight.
Right.
They want to play, and they don't want to give the other side.
That goes the same thing with the pets, too. Yeah, you have 2 dogs, you pet one, you brush one, the little dog wants to get the same equal attention.
Yeah, more attention. But the thing is, once you give, they may not want it. Because at the beginning, this subject is the psychology, right? Maybe at the beginning they want it. It's not truly they want the house. Maybe they just want to win. You never know, right? You just want to bid and see how it happens. Once you got it, I must like you said, I must have overpaid. They didn't have a perfect backyard. I would want it, but if the master bedroom, if the primary bedroom have a bigger closet, so whatever this excuse you're gonna say, So I think psychologically, even you had everything, but you just bid. It's not because you truly want this house. It's because your competitive nature.
Mm-hmm. That could be part of it, too. Yeah,
part of it. I wouldn't say this is the only reason, but a combination. Or the husband, wife, or the couple, or the family, or whoever want to buy. At the end, one person really want it. The other person don't want to speak up. But once actually they got it, the other person said, actually, I have a different opinion, Mm-hmm. I had quite a few deals went under attorney review because, the past 5 years bidding or not. So they often get disappointed, don't get it, and then they get it, right? And a few times when the attorney review, the family, the buyer bring their children.
Yeah, or their in-laws, their
the
parents.
Family, the family, friends. And then actually
many cooks in the kitchen.
In the kitchen, one of them is because of their kid. Because they never told the kids before they lost the house, I think in a similar area. And then they went out the area. And then the kid said he doesn't want to switch school. So the don't want to leave their friends. So at the end, they have to cancel the contract during the attorney review because children couldn't sleep whole night and crying, and the parent tried to console. At the end, they felt it's not like just tantrum. There's more issues deep down and not
And they
feel
felt it wasn't
comfortable.
worth rocking the boat.
Yes,
make
exactly.
the move when
They
due
moved
to
for
the emotion.
children.
Yeah,
But if the kid truly feel, emotionally disturbed, and it's not worth it, so they canceled. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And that leads to segment 2. Why people buy, there has to be an emotional connection. And what I mean by that is there has to be a feeling when the buyer walks in that they can see themselves, picture themselves living there, enjoying the home.
Yes.
And that's why we covered this on previous shows. That's why staging the home to some degree is important, because you want to have it as neutral, as decluttered as possible, so the buyers can really visualize themselves in that home and picture how it would be for them, what the environment would be like. So we can't underestimate the little things, the natural light, odor-free, even the smells or the sounds of the traffic. You want to try to make it so the home is as neutral as possible, so
Absolutely.
that they can really absorb it and enjoy the experience. And that's why this is a little bit tangential, but that's why oftentimes we say it's a good idea for the sellers not to be present when the buyer and their agent come through, because the buyers might feel pressured otherwise that they can't fully sit there and go through the home. They might feel rushed. So, and you want their experience
Watched. Not only rushed, but watched.
And you want their experience to be relaxing and positive, right?
Yeah, you don't want to be nervous.
So there is an emotional aspect aside from the numbers and the location to the job, this quality of the school district. There's,
that's so important, Ken, location. But you're not the only one for sale.
Right.
2-4 years ago, yes, but now no longer. How many people bought a house that time because they afraid of missing out, now resell them?
Right.
I have quite a few people bought it at the beginning of COVID, 2020, 2021. Now they sell it because they realize the house they're rushing is not their dream home.
Right.
So because they feel like,
but again, they felt pressured because going back to the first thing, why people buy, because they felt they pressured to buy because the prices are going up and they have to get out of the cluttered situation from the city environment into the suburbs, or they want to because of
they work from home and everything. They need more space, or the aged parents want to move in. So there's a lot of thought factors that
underlying factors why they necessitated the move.
Yeah.
So in addition to as part of the emotional thing, people are human. They have emotions. There's the buyer fear factor. The buyers have a lot of fear of overpaying, fear of making a mistake, fear of buyer remorse.
Fear of losing job.
Yeah, fear of the job. Also the analysis, overanalyzing. They call it analysis paralysis. They want to see every option, compare every detail. And in the end, they could lose out because they take too long to make a decision. By making no decision, you are deciding not to put in an offer, and that could be costly if you really want that house.
Once again, it just happened. One of my seller need to sell and then want to buy a 55 home. And they saw a house, they really like it. They want to think about it. Mm-hmm. And then that house gone.
Gone, right.
And then they call me. I said, what do you think about? I said, what's the downside? Because you're going to make offer subject selling yours. So there's no downside for you. So the second house they saw, you know what? They came back from the visiting immediately on the way back. They called the agent, can you put offering for me? And they called me. They said, I said, yeah, do it. Don't wait. So they got the house. They a seller, they went through that. They still want to think. I said, what to think?
Yeah.
What to think? You like the house, but I don't know what happened to my house. I said, if you make a subject to selling your house, the risk is on the seller. On that seller, not you.
Right.
So if they accept it, they have to live with the consequences if your deal didn't go through. But they know I'm your listing agent. They know I'm a strong hand. Right. So if any chance to go through will be with me. So if the seller doesn't worry about it, why you worry about it? So at the end,
the bottom line, they lost one opportunity, but they found a second one, which they're happy with.
They jumped on that.
So,
I think they like the first one more. Yeah. But it's no longer there.
So they did the next.
They did the second on the
next best option, right? And there's also a big fear with the home inspection, right?
Yes.
That's a whole emotional roller coaster on both ends of it. Because the home inspector, as we covered in prior shows, they're going to cover everything from the small things to the bigger things that are wrong with the house, or that should be, made. Some of them might be upgrades or recommendations for, improvements, safety upgrades. Some of them could be things that are not working. But when the buyer can feel overwhelmed when they go through the inspector, and then they get the report, and then they see the report is 70, 80 pages, and they think, oh, wow. But again,
everything wrong with the house.
But a lot of that is disclaimers, photos, things,
What's most important? Yeah.
So that's where the role of an experienced buyer agent comes in and says, well, let's go through this and let's see really what's wrong with the major appliances, structural items, mechanical, electrical, the roofing.
Ken, I have to say, take a step back. Depends how do you introduce your buyer to the house. When I used to be a buyer agent, I take a buyer out. I always tell them the problem with the house. I start with no house is perfect.
Right.
No person is perfect. No house is perfect. Right. So you have to point out the roof is whatever the years. HVAC, how many years?
And that's what the purpose of the seller disclosure is, to really disclose a lot of that information so that when so the buyer can make an informed decision when they come up with their purchase price, knowing the roof is 15 years old, the HVAC is 10 years old, the hot water tank is 6 years old.
But sometimes, once again, go back to that. Some agent, most of us is work hard and try to do the best for our client, but a certain agent doesn't brought it up. Some buyer, in the experience, they just want you to sign the seller disclosure without explaining. Mm-hmm. So I always explaining what I think the issue is, how much going to cost you to fix it, and then factor that in when you offer. So that's where you come up with the offering price.
Right.
So once again, find yourself a trustworthy, experienced buyer agent. In the past, this buyer just call anybody, answer the phone, or just meet someone. You should interview your agent just like a seller interview listing agent.
Right. And also read the seller disclosure carefully. That's what it's there for. And it's been expanded to include the flood risk section, which is mandatory now for residential as well as for commercial.
Yeah.
So the flood risk, if it has solar panels, that section has to be completed. So there's a lot of valuable information that can give you a lot of information about the home just by studying that 14-page document.
If you're anything not sure, ask question before you make offer. And then you will save yourself a lot of time and a headache later. Ask question. How many times when the attorney review, they ask question they should ask long time ago. Right. So that really shows, if the why buyer need an agent, they need guidance.
Mm-hmm.
So the agent has to be their eyes and ears and guidance.
Correct.
You can't just open. If you're only a door opener, it's really not much value there.
Correct, right. All right, Jane, we're just about out of time. Next week, we're going to flip the script and talk about it from the seller's mindset, what emotions they face. We hope you enjoyed this show. Have a great rest of the weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good weekend.